Welcome to part 10 of the Minecraft tutorial series where I teach you how to make mods without coding. Today we're going to be taking a look at making dimensions. Now in vanilla Minecraft there's three different dimensions. We have the overworld, the nether, and the end. And these three dimensions all can be accessed as sort of separate worlds. So you have a portal that you will go through to get to the other dimension. Dimensions are made up of biomes, so to make a dimension you'll have to have previously made a biome. In this case I have my Ardanium biome that I've made a little while ago, and I'm going to turn this into a dimension. So you'll be able to go through a portal to get to the Ardanium biome, and once you're through the portal, the entire world will be made up of the Ardanium biome. Now if you want, you can have dimensions that are built up of multiple biomes, but in this case I'm just going to use this single Ardanium biome. So to get started, we're going to hit the plus button and add a new dimension right here. And I'm going to call this the Ardanium dimension. And create new dimension. Now, first things first, the world generation type over here. There's these three types. You can kind of see what it looks like right here. Normal, nether, and end. And the normal, it's like a regular old world. The nether, there's a bunch of floating islands, like so. And the end, as you can see, it's got sort of one big, like, floating island. So I'm going to pick the normal world generation. And for the main filler block, this is sort of like your stone equivalent. In the overworld, it'd be stone. So you can set this to be whatever block you want your dimension to be made out of. So I'm going to set this to be stone as well, because I'm pretty sure I don't have Ardanium infused stone or anything like that. So we'll leave it like this. Now for the fluid block, this is sort of what lakes will be made out of if it does make lakes. So I'm going to pick the molten Ardanium right here. And for biomes in this dimension, this is where we can pick all of our biomes. So you can see all the vanilla biomes as well as your custom biome. So I'm only going to add the Ardanium biome. This will mean that only the Ardanium biome can spawn in my dimension. If I want to add a vanilla biome, you can select them here. But in this case, I'm just going to delete everything except for my Ardanium biome. Now for the sky color override, you can change the color of the sky. That's basically what this does. So I'm going to pick my classic purple Ardanium color right here. So now the sky will be this weird pinky purple. Now for sleep attempt, this is what happens when you try to sleep in a bed in your dimension. So allow, you successfully sleep in the bed. Deny, you can't sleep in the bed, and bed explodes. It explodes like it does in the nether in the end. So I'm going to hit explode. Now if you imitate this overworld behavior here, if you click this, then many aspects like the compass and respawning will act like the overworld. But I'm just going to keep this off because I want to make this sort of more like the nether, where it's a separate dimension from the overworld. Now this can player respawn here. Basically, it does what it says on the tin. It controls whether or not the player can respawn in your dimension. So I'm going to leave this off. Now the sky light source, this basically makes it have sort of a day and night cycle like it does in the overworld. So this means that it can get to be dark and it can get to be light, and you'll have a cycle like normal. I'm going to keep this on. In the nether in the end, this is off. So just so you know, if you're trying to imitate a biome, that's how you can do that. And the ambient light source, if you check this, your dimension will have no ambient light. So it'll basically just be completely dark. So if you're trying to make a super dark, scary dimension, you can go ahead and check this. But I'm going to leave this on so we have a sun. Dense fog is also similar to the nether, where even if your render distance is pretty high, you can still see some fog. So I'm going to keep this off so it's more like the overworld, where there's not really that much fog. And then water vaporizing is also similar to the nether. So if you check this, then whenever you place down a bucket of water, it will just vaporize right away, and you won't be able to do that. So I'm going to leave that off, and this is how I'm going to leave my settings. Next up is the portal. And if we enable this, this means you can make a portal to get to that dimension. If you keep this off, then you won't be able to make a portal to get to the dimension, and you'll have to use commands. So I'm going to keep this on, and I'm going to set the portal frame block to be our Ardanium block. So this is what you'll build the frame out of. Like the nether portal, it would be obsidian. And now for particles, this is the particles that will be around the portal. So I'm going to pick the nether portal particles. Going to look through here for them. Alright, here it is, portal right here. So I'm going to click that, and this will be those purple particles that come out of the nether portal. And now for the portal frame block, this is the sound that your portal will make. So this default one is the same sound that the nether portal makes. So it's the weird whooshes that you hear when you're near the nether portal. Now for luminance, this is the same sort of thing that you see in a regular block. This will just make the portal frame block have a little bit of light coming through it. So you can choose to enable this or not. I'm going to set this to like 4, so it emits a little bit of light. Now for the portal igniter, this is like a flint and steel for the nether portal, but for our portal. So this is what you're going to use to ignite the portal. I'm going to call this the Ardanium Orb. I'm going to put this in the Tools tab. So this is what Creative tab it'll be in. Now we have two conditions right here for whether or not we can make a portal and travel through the portal. I'm pretty sure I haven't talked about conditions yet, but we might talk about that in the future. Now for the portal igniter item texture, I've made this little orb right here. So it's going to be an orb that you use to ignite the portal. That's just what you're going to use. So this orb right here, this will be called the Ardanium Orb, and you'll be able to find it in the Tools tab, and we can add a crafting recipe for it after. But basically, you will right-click it on the portal once it's been created, and it will fill it in. Now for the portal block texture right here, this is the actual texture of the portal. So you've seen the Nether portal, kind of the swirly portal texture thing. So that's what we're going to be making here. And I haven't actually made this before because I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So we are going to come to our workspace, and under resources, we're going to do create new texture, create animated texture. So this is the same sort of thing we did with our molten Ardanium, where you can see it flowing. But now what we can do is we can add frames from template and select the template as portal. And now we can pick our color and hit add, and it's made a portal texture right for us. So if we hit this play button, we can watch it sort of animate. And this is what our portal block will look like. So we'll hit save this animated texture block, and I'm going to type Ardanium portal texture, like so, and 16 by 16. And there we go. We can close out the animation maker, come back to our Ardanium dimension, and pick our portal texture right here. You can hover over it to make sure it's the right one, and hit select. Alright, so now we're pretty much done here. If we come to triggers, these are just some more triggers for procedures, which we've talked about before. So this when portal trigger used is basically when you open up the portal using the portal igniter. So that's the orb that we made. This tick update will run for your portal every tick. And when player enters dimension, this will be triggered when somebody actually goes into the dimension. Same with leaving dimension. So now that we're all done this, we can hit save. And we are about ready to jump into the game. Alright, so here we are in our world, and we're going to now make the portal and go to our dimension. So I'm going to come to our building blocks and grab my Ardanium block, as well as my Ardanium Orb. And now I'm going to build a portal. Just like a regular old Nether portal. Like so. And now we're going to take the Ardanium Orb and click. And we have made a portal. You can see the particles coming out of it. And you can hear it's making the sound. Now let's hop through. And this is our new Ardanium dimension. Now I gotta say, these blocks are absolutely hideous. But, other than that, this world is pretty much what you'd expect. It's a dimension that's completely made out of our Ardanium biome right here. So you can see in the F3 menu that this biome is the Ardanium biome that we already have generating in our world. Now, if you wanted, you could remove this biome from the regular overworld generation and make it only show up here. But you can see we have caves, and inside the caves it's all stone, like we talked about earlier. We even have some ores showing up over here. And our lakes, of course, of molten Ardanium that are setting us on fire. So, now that we're done this, there's one more thing that's important that I should mention, just because it might seem pretty obvious, but it'd be quite easy to forget. And that is that we should actually make a recipe for our Ardanium Orb. So if we quit out of the game here, of course, we can just add a new recipe. We've talked about this before, so I'll call this the Ardanium Orb recipe. And we'll pick the output to be our Ardanium dimension. It's weird that it doesn't show up as the Ardanium Orb, but it actually shows up as the Ardanium dimension. So you'll have to select that. And I'm going to craft this basically just with Ardanium ingots in a sort of orb shape. And because why not, we're going to stick an Ardanium dust in the middle, which is made using our crusher that we've talked about earlier. And save mod element. And now we will actually be able to craft the Ardanium Orb. So that's about it for today. Thank you for watching this video on how to make your own dimension without any coding, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.